Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gotham with my boy Chuck. Chuckster, welcome back, brother. How we doing?
Good, moving in darkness tonight.
No, if you guys are
uh
watching this, it's pitch black where Chuck's at. So maybe it's a little foreshadowing for what we're about to get into with the Warriors recent play, man. But yeah, how's everything going on your end, Chuck? How's the darkness of the rooftop treating you?
it's chilling, man. I mean, a lot to get through this season. It just gets busy as fuck. Uh with everything going on. I was enjoying the break before, but there's games to watch, there's a film to be cut up, there's a lot to do, but it's always fun as hell, man. And yeah, I'm enjoying this Warriors season so far, but they've had their rough patches so far. So, the ups and downs are back for sure.
Oh man, tell me about it. We're missing Matt on this one. Matt is going to be on the next one. He's been busy with life stuff. So Matt, we miss you, dude. But Matt had a funny quote for us today where he said that I've been just really busy, haven't been able to catch the Warriors games this week, and honestly, it's been pretty good for his mental health. And me and Chuck were a little jealous of him. But. Right on cue, man. Warriors, last time we spoke, it was right after that Nuggets game. Steph had 42 or whatever. It was just vibes were really high. And since then, man, the Warriors have been anything but vibes being that high. They are sitting at a nice 6-5, eighth place in the Western Conference with a couple of those losses, just one of those, here we go again. Blew it against the Bucks, blew it against the Pacers in Indiana, just two winnable games without their star players. And you come back and you lose kind of a young guy led game against the Kings, which you felt like you should have had, and you get your breaks beaten off you against the Nuggets again without Steph. All the while, Steph's missed the last couple games. Sounds like he's gonna be back Tuesday night against the Thunder. But Chuck, man, talk to me, bro, because like we obviously going into the season, a lot of people, yourself and myself included, very high on this Warriors team. First couple games, you really felt like the Warriors were back. They kind of built on the momentum that they ended last season with and kind of came into the season with, that chip on their shoulder of, we could have done something special if number 30 was healthy. But the last couple games, man, even in the wins, have been pretty shaky. And, obviously having Steph Curry out for the last three of them, and then, blowing a couple games that you should have won doesn't help. But kind of just talk me through what you've seen the last few games, and just your concern levels right now. Obviously, it's still early in the season. You're 11 games in, but, we'll get into this upcoming road trip. But, the Warriors kind of missed on some opportunities that you could, argue that, they really needed to pick up some of those games early on.
Yeah, that's the tough thing is, we've gotten into it with the schedule where if I'm doing the math correctly, 6 of their first 11 games have come in back-to-backs. So like you talk about that Kings loss. I mean, Steph was sick, so it sounds like he would have been out anyways. But uh, they have to rest Jimmy. They got to rest Draymond. Al Horford, he's had a rough start, but they've had to rest him as well. And that's really frustrating because I mean, 6 of 11 games on back to backs is insane. They've already had 4 games in 5 nights. And that the importance of that I don't think can be overstated because it's going to be a veteran roster. We knew that anyways, that rest and health were going to be keys to the season. And when you can't rest and you can't get healthy, it's pretty hard to win games. But at the same time, you can't just like wave your hand and say, oh, well, they've been tired or like the schedule's been coming at them too fast because they have had super winnable games that they've lost. They took care of business against the Pacers um last night or 2 nights ago. Last
Last
night.
night.
But um the first game against the Pacers, I mean, the team was equally beat up. They still had Steph in the lineup and they managed to lose that one, which was pretty brutal. I mean, the Kings game, even though the main guys were out, that's one they could have had. So, I mean, if they had just like cleaned up their act a little bit against opponents that they're way better than. They could be 8-3 at least, and you'd be being like, wow, hell of a start to the season. And yeah, you could say that about any stretch. Like, yeah, you should have won more games than you dropped some, but that's kind of the frustrating part is you could have gotten through this gauntlet early part of the season where you've lost Steph to his mystery illness and Jimmy's a little banged up, and you could still be sitting at 8-3 and be like, damn, we're still one of the top teams in the West, and we're gonna get healthier, and we're gonna stop playing, 2 games every 3 nights, for the foreseeable future. So it has some good and bad. And I'm excited to see what this team can do when they are on a more regular cadence. But we've this road trip we're going to talk about later. They're not getting that break anytime soon. So, for now it's just going to be grind out as many wins as you can.
Yeah, man. I'm with you there. Like for me, concern level, I'd say it's still kind of low. It is an 82 game season. They dropped a couple games. I'd even argue the Kings game they should have won. They were up double digits for majority of that. They kind of blew it in that third quarter, came back. But even if you say, you win two out of those three, like you said, 8-3, you're sitting nice. So you obviously have to make back some of these games. Every night's important. You're seeing it. Every game is tough. I mean, even the G League Pacers that they played yesterday. I mean, they played them tough until the very end of the third quarter. They were on a back end of a back to back, kind of just ran out of gas. But there are no nights off, so it doesn't really matter. Days off, days in between. While they do have an older team, they do have young guys as well. So like, it shouldn't be an issue of like a depth thing. Theoretically, just with the guys that they have on the roster, the guys that they are relying on, especially in the regular season, to step up and really kind of make their mark on this team and carry the older guys when they need it. But really my concern, and we'll get into this throughout the season, but it's really just been like the lack of stepping up from the young guys. Whether that's JK, Pods, Moody, just a lack of, ability to count on these guys. Like Kuminga and Pods had, I think, combined for like 4 points in that Nuggets loss. They had a pretty rough game against the Pacers again. And so it's just kind of figuring out, that this roster actually does have more holes than, you'd anticipate. And that's really just a lack of guys stepping up, guys maybe improving, whatever that looks like. And again, it's harder to play when your team is built around Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. So when those guys don't play or when Steph is out, like it's a lot more on everybody else's plate. But you'd think that, with the level of camaraderie and these guys have played together for a year, I would have thought that they looked a lot better even without Steph. Just having gone through a playoff series without him. Obviously, they didn't win a game there, and we're kind of seeing why. But you just think just to sustain during the regular season. So that's kind of my concern level because for a fact Steph's going to miss some time. For a fact Jimmy's going to miss some time this year. If they don't, insane. But that's kind of where my concern level is. It's not necessarily being 6-5 and sitting at eighth place right now. It's more so, hey, look, guys, this was supposed to be kind of a mix and match of young guys stepping up and riding the old guys when you needed them. It can't be like how it's been over the last like 3-4 years of, hey, if Steph doesn't play or Steph doesn't have 30, like we're not going to win this game. And Jimmy being here obviously helps out a lot, but it's not the same Jimmy Butler as he was back in, the early Miami days or back in Minnesota or anything like that. Like Jimmy is a different player. He's a great compliment to Steph. He's still very much your number two, but you're going to need guys that can step up scoring wise on any given night. And, you know, with Pods, with Kuminga especially, like those two guys have been the dudes who you've kind of or who themselves have kind of said, hey, look, like we want the guys to be the carry the torch. We're the guys that got next, and these are the type of opportunities that you need to show it. And so that's again where my concern level lies with this team right now, especially going into a gauntlet of a road trip where you're not going to be able to rely on Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond really to carry you for every night. And if you do, then that's a much deeper kind of roster issue that you have.
Yeah, and I think it's no new story. Like we've been looking at this for years and years where the team is made to have Steph Curry there. Um, and it's something I think about all the time in sports, like the old I think it was when Jim Mora was the coach of the Colts. Um, or maybe it was Jim Caldwell, I forget. It's like one of those old Colts coaches when Peyton Manning was at peak. And some guy asked him why their backup quarterback didn't get more reps in practice. And he says, boys, if 18 goes down, we're fucked, and we don't practice fucked. Um, and that kind of is just like that's kind of how you have to go about things. Like if you were to invest in this roster planning on Steph not being there, and like sure, he's gonna miss some games in the regular season and it's gonna suck, and you're gonna have to like lean on guys who are otherwise relying on Steph being there. But it's a team that's built for the playoffs. And if you are going into the playoffs and you don't have Steph, like it's over. We saw that last year where it's like, oh, hey, there's some good momentum and they're taking care of business against Houston. And oh, he just pulled up lame. There goes the season. Um, so I think the struggles you see from guys like Pods and, you know, I think Pods is like the main case for it because he's had some ups and downs, but like we've seen some really good games where he's playing off Steph and like he's getting his drives and he's looking good as a screener and he's able to focus on defense. And then when Steph's out, and especially when Jimmy's out, it's like, oh, okay, he's the main ball handler. He looks horrible. And it's like, yeah, it's a disappointment that he can't be that guy, but he's not there to be that guy. He's there to play off of their best players. So it does bring some concern where it's just like, for the regular season of like, hey, if Steph's not there, things are going to get pretty ugly. And you'd hope that you guys like Jimmy, you guys like Kuminga, other guys can step up on offense to make up the gap. But, you know, I I just don't find myself being like panicked about the whole like, oh well, if Steph's not there, they're cooked. It's like, yeah, no shit, man. Like he's the system, he's the franchise. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like that's it's just kind of how things have gone for the last decade.
Yeah, I mean that's totally fair. I think that's a great point. Like this team, again, fully healthy. We've seen in spurts again, but like they took down the Nuggets. They played that Lakers team who they ended up looking really good last weekend. So we've seen this team compete at a high level when they're fully healthy. And I think getting a guy like Melton back, getting another ball handler, that's going to help out a lot. So they've got some reinforcements on the way with Melton, obviously with health, and then. Any day now, I think within the next week, Seth Curry, another guy that's going to be there, another guy that can handle the rock. So, again, I'm with you there. Like, yes, if Steph's out, like your chances are pretty low, but again, you're going to have to find a way to buy some wins here, and that's where that's where you're gonna need guys to step up, and what that looks like, who that looks like. Like I think guy like Quentin Post has played really well this season. I think Kuminga when he's played with Steph looks really well. So like I'm with you there. Like it's not necessarily like cause for concern that per se, but there you're just gonna need some sort of reinforcements that I don't know if they have that on the roster right now. So again, something to look early part of the season, as obviously there's a lot of time till that trade deadline, but how are you going to consolidate kind of this slew of guards that you have, and can you upgrade that to a position where get a guy where you could get a kind of off the bench kind of microwave scorer or something like that to kind of float you for the regular season. But that was just my thoughts on like where they're at right now and kind of what the holes are looking. But again, their holes are obviously amplified when number 30 is out.
Yeah, and like you said too, it is you don't want to just say, oh well, whatever. They stink with Steph, big whoop. Like you would like to see a lot of these guys step up and be able
Mm.
to produce, um, especially in this regular season where you're gonna have to like rest him sometimes. I mean, he's already what 3 games missed through 11. Um, that's kind of just the norm. Like he's probably gonna play like 60, 65, maybe 70. if you get lucky because the dude's 37 years old and he spends every game running around like a maniac. So you would like to figure out a plan for that and how to balance things out where it's like, okay, we strategically give Jimmy his rest and have Steph play against the right teams, and then there are going to be some Jimmy nights where Steph is out. But you can't really plan for like, I don't know what this roster or what Mike Dunleavy or what Steve Kerr is supposed to do when like Steph just gets sick and misses 3 games and like, it sounds like what was it? The Phoenix game was the last one he played. Um,
Missed that one too, no?
where like he was playing sick,
Oh
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
He played the Suns game sick. And yeah, I mean he said it after the game as well. Like he was pretty banged up going into it. So yeah, it's been sick for about a week or so.
yeah, so it's just a tough thing to plan for. You can't be sure when something's going to come up, and even just the little things like that. So uh it doesn't really alter my concern for the team that much. It just makes it harder to start stacking those wins because I think the theme of the season is like the only number I think you can confidently say we are a playoff team in the West right now is 50 wins. Like that's where you got to be at to feel safe. And anything below that, you might get thrown in the play in, and it might get a little ugly. So I just it's a concern when you start dropping them early, with the combination of the schedule and the injuries. But one thing, the bones of a good team are there. They just need to get everyone together on this road trip and see what they're really made of.
Fantastic segue there, Chuck. A big road trip coming up, man. Six straight on the road. They got the Thunder, then away with the Spurs, Pelicans, Magic, and Heat. Obviously, those first 3 games kind of jump out at you as obviously barometer test. Steph's going to be back on Tuesday as confirmed against the Thunder. So again, full squad is back. But what are you looking for on this road trip? Because obviously the Thunder and the Spurs have kind of clearly been kind of two of the best teams in the West early on, and rightfully so. You got the defending champs, playing on an MVP level. These guys just have won a championship, have got the confidence that they are champions, and are looking like it. And then you've got the Spurs who, obviously all the talk of Wemby, and you've seen the potential, you've seen the hype, and they've got a team around them now, man. They're looking very good. They took down the Rockets last week. Wemby's playing amazing. They're getting De'Aaron Fox back, so they're getting healthy. And they've just got a slew of guys that can hurt you, but shooting the ball. So 6 games, three against some top tier contenders, and then you ended it with the Pelicans, the Magic, and the Heat. Again, the Heat having a good start to the season, but you feel like those 3 games kind of have to be games that you steal. But what are you looking for from a record wise perspective on this road trip? What again? It doesn't sound like we're both either that concerned, but what's the record that they come out of this road trip where you say, okay, all's good. This is kind of what I thought versus, hey, we might be in some serious trouble here because they are not winning games like we thought they would.
Yeah, well, the frustrating part is, you go into this schedule, and once again, 4 out of 6 games on this road trip are in back-to-backs. They go from the Thunder, and then play the defending champs. They're on a roll. That's going to be tough. And then congrats, next day you get to go play Wemby, and the Spurs. Um, and then you play the Spurs again. So that's 3 games in 4 nights, and two of them are two of the best teams so far. Um,
Hey, one less travel day.
Pelican,
We'll take one less travel day, I guess. Don't have to
yeah,
hotel.
no, no travel is for sure a big deal, but it still makes the legs only feel a little bit better. And then you get a brief reprieve with the Pelicans, who just brutal. Just a rough team to watch. So you'd hope for the win there, and then you get to do the Florida back to back, going to Orlando and Miami on back to back nights to close it out. Um, I mean, this is the tough thing is I think we've been conditioned to the expectations of like you see 6 games on the schedule, even against good teams, like you got to at least play 500 ball. Um, I think I'd feel good coming out of this playing 500 ball because those first 3 games, those are just brutal. Like Thunder, tough to beat anyways, and then you got to go back to back against San Antonio. I mean, it's going to be really tough to pull one game out of there. And if you come out of that 0 and 2, um, now you got to make up, 3 wins out of the next 4. Uh, it's a rough trip, dude. Like my gut feeling is that the Warriors come out of this trip 2 and 4 and that they're going to be under 500 and everyone's going to be freaking the hell out. Um, and then you just look to where the schedule gets after that. And it gets a little lighter, for end of November, they get some good ones. You got like James games against the Jazz, the Pelicans. You get to play the Suns a couple times in December, the Mavericks, who look brutal. You get your first game against the Nets, the Hornets. Um, like it's bound to turn around, and you don't have all these fucking back to backs, which are just killing me. But um, I just think people need to temper their expectations for this road trip because it's a lot of really tough teams. It's a lot of matchups that they tend to struggle with, especially the Thunder. Um, I mean, 5 of these 6 teams should be in the playoffs when it's all said and done. So I'd be very happy if they come out of it above 500. But even if they come out of it 2 and 4, I'm not really panicking that much. They're really good teams, and the schedule has just been a absolute knockout so far. So I'm not. It sounds weird to say like I think they're gonna lose 2 out of their next 6. I mean, I think they're gonna win 2 out of their next 6, but like I'm still optimistic about the team. But that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, obviously I want to predict something not 2 and 4, but I'm just looking at it, man. Like, you I think ideally for myself personally, like if they're like to alleviate any sort of concerns, they got to come out of this 4-2. You're sitting at 10-7, going, you've survived the gauntlet. Yeah, you've dropped a couple games, but kind of using this road trip as kind of a catalyst to get in. And like you said, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So I think, going in with that mindset of, hey, look, we've got a brutal stretch. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's just go fucking win some games. Um, I think that Thunder Spurs stretch. Yeah, if you can go 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3 there, the Thunder a little banged up. They haven't obviously looked at it all, but no Shea or no Jalen Williams, no Dort tomorrow. They're missing someone else. So again, it's not that the Thunder are any sort of shorthandedness. They're still very, very good. But is there a way you can steal one against the Thunder? I think if they lose that Thunder game, that Spurs game, that back-to-back's a wash. So I'm chalking that up as an L. But that second Spurs game, you get a day rest. You don't have to travel anywhere. Can you somehow, Spurs are still a young team. Can you kind of use that to your advantage? So if they can somehow go 1-2 in that Spurs Thunder kind of gauntlet, they should beat the Pelicans, the Magic, and the Heat. If I'm being completely honest, like. The Pelicans, obviously, the Magic have been pretty subpar this year. Yeah, they're a good team on paper, but again, you're playing the Pelicans and the Magic after a day off, and going into Miami. Jimmy's homecoming last year was a shit show, so hopefully he gets some get up for that game. Come home 4-2, sitting at 10-7. Again, you've given away a couple games, you've won a couple games that you didn't think you would. Kind of evens out, and I think 10-7 coming out of that. Going into a nice long home stretch into December, not a lot of back-to-back, some good time off, playing some teams you should beat. I think just from a morale booster, that would be huge. So I'm setting it at 4-2, hopefully 3-3 at the bare minimum, but I think 10-7. and you can feel really good about your chances of at least, the fact that you've weathered the storm and can now, like you said, kind of start stacking up those wins and get going from there. But the Bucks got to stop somewhere. You're getting Steph back. You're gonna hopefully get everybody healthy on this road trip. So, there's no better time to go on a 6 game road trip than, Steph coming back and he's had about a week to rest up and get healthy. So, hopefully get some fresh legs, for the Thunder game tomorrow night and, pull off something special, man. They played the Thunder pretty hard, to be completely fair. Even in the years that the Warriors haven't looked good, last couple of years feels like they've always kind of been a good matchup to the Thunder. So, excited to hopefully see something like that tomorrow. But I think 4-2 is doable. I really do think that they're doable. But again, you gotta take care of business against some of these good teams, and you've got to start to show why you should be in that conversation for being one of those better teams out west.
Yeah, and I do think, when you look at just how close they've been to pulling off the wins in the early going, um, I still like it wouldn't surprise me if they just like split the games with the Spurs, but I think they're a better team than the Spurs. Like the Spurs are just they have a lot of ill-fitting pieces. I don't know how they're going to navigate health throughout the season. Um, it's they're not like they're obviously Wemby is insane and he gives them such a high floor and upside on both ends of the floor, both ends of the court, but they're not a team I trust in the long run. The Magic have obviously had their struggles. The Heat are just winning with like weird offense, but I think teams are just like kind of catching up to it. Um, and there are a lot of winnable games out there, and I don't doubt that. And like if they went 4-2, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this is such a surprise. But like, it kind of feels like the NBA season really just feels like a boxing fight at the end of the day. And sometimes you come out and you're just delivering punches all the way to the end. But plenty of fights have been won where you gotta,
Just
tuck the arms
keep the
in.
hands up,
You got,
get through round 12, man. That's some of the
yeah,
best
just
boxers in
don't
the world have done that.
just get through the round, get into your timeout, get a little water in you, get a refresh, and go out and start swinging the next round. There's nothing wrong with that, and if that's what the Warriors have to do this road trip, then I'm not mad about it.
Fair play, man. I like the long-term look at this, and I think a lot of fans should take a note out of your book, Chuck. Sky's not falling. At the end of the day, it is November basketball. There's a lot of story left in this season. So, if you're one of those Warriors fans out there that are struggling with the recent kind of slide, you know, still guaranteed games in March, April, and hopefully later than that. But before we get out of here, man, Chuck, any last thoughts, man, about this record? So you're going with 2-4 as a prediction, locking that in.
I'm going with 3-3. I think they're
Nice.
gonna pull out. I mean, with the auto win right now that is the Pelicans, even with the Warriors struggling in trap games. Um, I mean, they're just so brutal. Uh, I think they can win two out of the other five for sure, even if it's just, like splitting the back-to-backs. Um, I'm going with 3-3, but I just, I don't want the people to panic if we look up and the Warriors are like 8-9, and it's like, oh my God, the season's over. Uh, don't panic. Just trust in the process.
Trust in the process. That wise words that didn't really pan out for them, but still wise words. But no, I'm going forward too, man. I got faith. I think, they're healthy, they're coming back. This is a time for kind of an early season marquee kind of stretch. And I think they can wash away a lot of the bad taste of some of these losses early on with a pretty strong road trip. And teams get built on some of these road trips, man. So if you're able to kind of make a statement here, I think that's going to be the mindset going in. So and yeah, please don't no more none of this trap game shit anymore. There's none of these games are trap games. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care who's not playing. Fucking get up for all these games. There should be no excuse of losing to whatever that guy's name was on Indiana. He didn't even play last night either, which kind of goes to show you. But Before we get out of here, man, Chuck, anything you got coming up? We'll be checking back in maybe midway through this road trip, maybe towards the end, see how our predictions are faring. Hopefully get Matt on here as well to give his. I know he's got some good thoughts that he's been waiting to share as well. But Chuck, before we get out of here, man, anything else we got coming up?
No, just keep rocking with us. It's gonna be season's coming hard and fast, and we're gonna have another one soon with the full crew. So yeah, keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out, guys. Keep following. Keep checking us out: Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, everything. And we will catch y'all on the next episode, man. Peace.